So what are we doing here?
It's not going to be hard. It's me and you. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
You and I are the last two people that want to be on TV together, right? Right? But we like high school football, so we're going to talk about.
For radio.
Look at this.
Okay.
Look at this. This is like year 2. So I mean, take a look at this.
It's got to be 30 years.
That's 2001.
I actually have hair.
I mean, look at our setup. I mean, not much has changed. Not like we got something better now, but
Are you still doing this on 5?
yeah. But I don't go in the studio, so make it easier after the game. I just come and talk to you.
Oh.
You know, on the field, like last year. I don't want to go back in there. I don't want to be on TV. I just want to be at the games.
Yeah.
So this was week 1, 2001, and so Scales is a sophomore. I guess we're actually starting the show, but this is all I wanted to do is just you and I talk about it. But what's interesting about this is you were always okay. The very first time in '98, when I came out and visited with you, you're like, yeah, come on out. You did the interview. You're like, you do the media. But at the same time, you never watch any of this stuff, but you know it's important, don't you?
Well, in the 12 years I was at Spencer, we never had a game that wasn't covered by the local radio station and the local newspaper, who had a dedicated sports writer to only Spencer High School athletics. So in a small town, every Thursday I did a pregame interview with the sports guy, both radio.
So it was like
paper.
you were a college coach, like you had a schedule.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's just small town stuff. That's the only thing going in town, you know. I got stopped by a highway patrolman one time coming back from Lincoln, Nebraska, in nowhere northwest Iowa. He's looking at my license. He goes, "Are you the football coach of Spencer?" I said, "Well, yeah. How would you know that?" He goes, "Well, I fly the radar plane." And he goes, "You know, like when games would be ready to kick off, I'm still up there, and I would listen to your pregame. I could tell your voice." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" So, I mean, he didn't ticket me. I was going 85 on a 55.
Isn't that interesting? So 25 years before we ever started the Friday Night Blitz, you'd coached 25 years. And so we also grew up listening to Zabel and Pete Taylor and all that. So as a Radcliffe kid, was that media thing part of your dynamic understanding that if I'm a coach, I do these things? Was that part of it?
Well, no, not as a high school coach.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up listening to Zabel do games out on the tractor when I was having to go work.
Yeah.
You know, but those were the Evashevsky, Lauterbur.
Yeah.
I mean, when I started coaching, Bob Cummings was the coach at Iowa.
Did you think you could be better than Bob?
That was not a good time for the Hawks.
Talking about 25 years of the Blitz, you understood the media part of it.
Sure.
And you were always acceptable to that. So I'm always grateful for that, because not some of the old school coaches you'd think growing up, I don't want any part of anything, but you were always open to that. And I mean, and you had to come in studio.
It's high school.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we talking about here? The old saying, all sports are local, is depending on where you live, it's local in your building, in your small piece of West Des Moines, it's local in the town of Spencer, it's local wherever you're at. Those are the people that really care. Beyond that, nobody cares. I mean, it's your own little bubble that you live in and around, and what surrounds your program. So, I mean, that's just part of it. You should promote that. I mean, don't you want people to have expectations about your program?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
So that's the part that you're automatically like, I'm in, that's part of my job.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
When we started doing the Blitz, I mean, 8, 13, 5, they all do a great job, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the few markets in the world, you know, where sports does such a great job. We started doing a half-hour show. I know that had no impact on you because it's not like you were watching it. But did you feel like things kind of changed here? When you look at what the CIML's done since we did the Blitz, I don't know, you know, the NFL effect, cover more, give them more. Do you think that had any impact on it at all? I mean,
well, I thought the Blitz was a nice show for high school football in this area. I mean, who else is going to cover Indianola, Valley, Waukee? I mean, you know, that was a good thing. people want to go home and watch the highlights, the parents, the kids. So we would get, you'd watch the other stuff, and I think there was rare glimpses of, Friday night was Friday night. Beyond that,
Yeah.
I always tell the kids, hey, in the first week of August, you'll see a couple TV networks come out. They want to talk to 2 players. If I go have you talk to them, they're going to talk to you for about 5 minutes. You're going to think you made some really insightful statements. And whatever you said, they will pick out the dumbest statement, 15 seconds long, and that's what you'll get on TV. So think about, be thoughtful in what you say so that you sound as intelligent as you are, not like some blabbering idiot.
And I love how you say that, because that's exactly the same way, I've had you mic'd up for years, that you talk to them before the coin toss. Like, very direct, like, don't be dumb.
That's how I coach, direct. If you can't tell kids the truth, why would we do this? I mean, sometimes it's not what they want to hear, but I've just never had another way that worked for me. That's just me. Everybody should do their own personality. If you try to coach like somebody else, like maybe how you were coached, or somebody you've said, kids will see through that in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
If you're just being honest, straightforward, and they know you're working as hard as you can for them, they'll buy in. But if you try to put on some phony show that you watched on TV, or maybe like you wanted to be, that's not going to fly. Over time, you'll be exposed immediately, and it'll be an unhappy ending for you. So I think everybody just wants to know what to expect. They might not always like it, but kids want routine. They want to know what's going to happen. And that's why if you vary things, including your own personality and your approach to coach, that doesn't always go down very well. So I've never tried to be something I'm not,
Why is Iowa, what drove you to be this consistent? And then you have a lot of our coaches in the state have had that. We can go down the list and we can talk about a lot of people. Was there a common denominator that made this happen? Because that's what, me growing up in Iowa, I wanted to be part of a high school football team. I liked the colleges, but I wanted to be part of my high school, and I wanted that to be important. Was there a common denominator that you think, because you are a leader in this field, it's important to you, something drove you to have this in your heart, I guess?
I got hooked on high school football. I grew up in a small town.
Well, Radcliffe's pretty big.
Nine people in a 3-bedroom house. Do the math on that one. On the farm, 7 miles from the nearest hard surface road. So when I got to go to a Friday night football, I had 2 older brothers who played. I was hooked, because it was the whole, even in a small town, the pageantry, the color, the noise, the band, the cheerleaders, the team, that I was hooked then. I knew I wanted to play, and then I'm not sure why I went into coaching. I had all kinds of other things I probably should have done to be more comfortable financially, but I loved it. And I just, so I made a career out of it. And
did somebody tell you? Did a moment hit you, or was it?
No, I thought, my high school coach, Rick Wolko, who was the executive secretary for years in Boone, I really looked up to him. He was right out of college when he came to our place.
So did you go? You went to BV because of him?
And then I played for Jim Hirschberger. Yeah, we didn't even have a guidance counselor. I didn't even know I was going to college until he called me down to his office, and one of the coaches from BV was there, and he said, okay, so they're going to give you a scholarship. They'll pay your tuition. You have to go there, and you're going to play football and run on the track team. I just nodded my head, walked out, knew I was done, and that's where I went. There was no recruiting. I just went there. And then Jim Hirschberger came, and I really respected him. I loved him, and those were 2 big, impactful people.
25 years of the Blitz. So that's what's interesting. I started thinking about that, and we're not going to go into how old you are, but I mean you've coached 50 years and you got a lot of wins.
Do
and
the math.
We're not going to go into the history of it, but I do think you're a leader amongst your peers because it's really hard, I think, and that's what I think makes Iowa football, like Iowa high school coaches, different. Is there's still some rivalries in that, but there's a clear hierarchy of respect for each other. And I think you bring that. But once we started the 25 years, these last 25 years, what's happened in Central Iowa, especially with our CIML? Because it's almost like you all have to have a small army, and we've had some great people that have coached with you, and you continue to change that and mold that. But you can't survive in this league without almost having a college-type staff and a lot of passion.
Oh, for
How
sure.
how has that changed?
Well, just the competitiveness of it. That high school football is better coached today than at any time that I've seen since I started. I mean, you don't out-coach people anymore because everybody's really well coached. Let's face it, it's about talent. It's about having good players and then doing something with them in a coordinated, comprehensive way that they develop, and then you got to teach the game the way you can teach it. But you look at the people with the good programs in this area, both Waukees, both Ankenees, Southeast Spoke, Dowling, Valley, Johnston. They're some of the best, not just best high school teams in the state, but also as well coached as I know coaches all over the country. I spent 15 years working for USA Football and traveled everywhere and met coaches from everywhere, some of the best in the country. And these guys here, they can coach anywhere. I mean, these are tremendous coaches. So it's become so competitive, and if you want to keep up, you develop your staff and you hope that you can do the job on par with the people you're playing against, because I have so much respect for the guys. If I just look at our schedule this year, the guys we play, they're as good as they come.
Yeah. I don't know why. Who got that started?
I don't know.
When did this?
Well, these are all very good communities. They're all high expectations.
Mm-hmm.
The schools are high expectations, good academic learning centers, athletic programs. I mean, I wouldn't be able to count the number of state championships at Valley in all sports since I've been there.
Yeah.
It'd be massive, and any of these schools could say that same thing. But across the board, we've just had good, hard-working kids that grew up in families that have supported them being athletes in high school.
So since we've started, and we'll kind of wrap up because I know that you're a bigwig and you got things to do. Are we at 8 grandchildren or is it 9? 9, okay.
Yeah.
Since we started, we did the Friday Night Blitz. We did these shows called the Blitz Extra. We did Dome Dynasty. We've had a mic on you 100 times, and you've never seen any of it. Have you watched any of it?
I've told you that you're miking me at your own peril. I'm not going to do anything different than I would if I wasn't. I haven't heard any of it, seen any of it, and I don't care.
And from what you've heard, it's all been good, and I do a good job, right?
Of course.
Yeah, okay. But
that's why I'm not mad at you, because I haven't heard any of it.
Well, then after 25 years, that's pretty good. I don't think our relationship's going to break up. So, and we've always done that in a positive way to promote it, and I think that's what makes Iowa and makes the CIML and makes Iowa special.
Absolutely. I mean, I've had, any of these coaches could say this, and I have had multiple opportunities to leave. I've had opportunities to go at the collegiate level. That was never what I wanted. This is my lane. I figured that out in a hurry. I just like high school football. I mean, maybe that's dumb, but I just was never looked at this as, I should move. I got to go to college somewhere. And I looked at that, and the more I looked, the more I realized I'm right where I should be. I had no interest in doing that, and I'm so glad I didn't, because who knows what happens then.
Yeah. And I that's one of the things that, and just going in this brief conversation with you, I didn't want to get into like all the details of people, places, and all those things, because it's just the pure passion for high school football, and that's where the 25 years of the Blitz. Walter started out, and then he became a big wig. He did move on to, do Cyclones.tv and do, which he was following his passion, following Pete.
Sure.
And we even had Zuba Mahente, who's like on SportsCenter every night. I don't know if you watch SportsCenter, but we had some talent. Aside from
absolutely.
me aside, there were some talented people on the Blitz, actually.
There's been a lot of really talented professionals that have come through Central Iowa in media, and even on the Blitz. I mean, all you guys, I always enjoyed when whoever was at Channel 5 came out to talk, because I liked them all.
Yeah. So we're not going to talk about the future or anything like that. I'll let Parker maybe ask some questions, see how many things I messed up and how many things maybe you messed up. But as you get ready for the season, there's always expectations. Really neat, because in that first Blitz, I think in 2000, 2001, I was like, hey, coach, you're always in the top 5 or whatever. You're like, we're always going to be good. We're always going to have to be in the top 5. You set that precedent to me. I was like, well, that makes sense. Like, own it a little bit. Like,
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Why would you
want to be? Why would you want to be unranked? And
I've never played that card. Like, oh gosh, I hope we can win a game. If you're at Valley, you're expected to win, and you should win.
Yeah.
The question is, are you a championship level team or a playoff caliber team, or who knows? Who knows?
And I got to stop you, because I thought last 2 years have been the most fun I've had watching you coach, because a little bit of it is you expect to win, you expected to get there, but you didn't get off to a good start. But your kids just willed themselves, and I think that was a representation of you and your staff. But even the semifinal game last year, you kind of just get not doing anything, not giving up a lot of points, and then you get a break and you don't even score to end the first half. And 99% of the time I've been at the Dome against a great team, that's over, and your kids came out and tied that thing up.
Yeah,
that was amazing.
We didn't quit, and we had a chance to win. I mean, we had gotten a couple stops on defense in the second half. They weren't stopping us running the ball. So in overtime, we thought, hey, we can go toe-to-toe with these guys. Unlike the year before with Dowling, we knew we couldn't win in overtime unless we went for 2 and ended it.
Yeah.
But that was a mistake. If I could do that over, we had the 2-point play ready. We would have went for it. At the time, I thought, why do we want to put all the pressure on us? Right now, we're toe-to-toe with them. But that was dumb. I wish I could do that.
Yeah, I agreed with you at the time, though.
I'd go back and roll the dice and take my shot. I mean,
I love it.
They're 2-time state champion at that point, with clearly talented people and great coaches. And I got lulled into thinking, hey, we're right there with them, but we weren't.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a field goal in our possession, and we didn't even slow them down in theirs. I mean,
and the experienced playmakers they had, I guess,
we could have played 20 overtimes and we lose every one of them. So we should never have got to that point. But that's how that's high school football.
Isn't that weird? In 50 years, you can learn something. I think that's the greatest.
Every day.
I think that's the greatest attribute that you have. Parker, anything we messed up or anything you want to add to the 25 years of the Blitz Gary edition?
I have 2 questions. I think you're gonna like these.
Roll it.
So, growing up watching Valley football, right, as a Valley grad, I would say, who is the best running back you've seen out of your years at coaching Valley? So I'm thinking, like, everyone's different. You have like a Tyus Mason, right, or
Sure.
like a Zach Kekcom, But like, who is the best overall that you've seen?
Well, I mean, we've had multiple years where we had the first team All-State tailback and the third team or second team All-State tailback. I mean, you go back to Cutcomp, Burkett, Zach Sandvig went through. I mean, we've had all the Masons. I mean, geez. I mean, you talk about talented kids. Without question, at that position, Scales is on his own level. Now, his college career didn't show that he was that elite. He went to Iowa State, played, but in high school, there was nobody on par with him. I've seen really good players over the years. I've watched Tim Dwight. I mean, all these guys were playing. Tavian Banks, all those guys. Scales was as good as any of them. And he was just, we rode him for 3 years, and he was so durable, so talented, such a great human being. Yeah, as far as running backs go, he's right up there.
I think that is a good question before you ask your other one. And the thing about Scales, too, is it's kind of iconic that we're talking about the Blitz, because one of the second shows we talked about it, but really that 7-2 team that he had when on the road, Scales just kind of did some things. And then we've seen kids, once they get to the Dome, they're just different. And for us, he was already different, but he you know, those 02, because would he have been senior in 02? Yeah.
No, he was the junior.
So you got him both years.
He went. That team went. His class went back to back.
Yeah.
And like I said, you take him out of the
2-3.
lineup, I'm not sure any of that happens.
He called him the magic bullet. I remember after they won it back to back, he was like, "Yeah." I go, "That's fun to win 2 in a row." And he goes, "I'm going to win a boatload more. I want to win a boatload more." Is what
Sure.
Gary said. He was really decisive after that. After you walked out of that, he walked out of the press conference like, "Okay, I got to go back to work." You're a little more relaxed now.
Yeah.
Good
I
question
think so.
though. What else you got?
I have one more.
Then we'll turn him loose.
Yeah.
He's got to get ready for the 2024 season.
So in the last 6, I'd say 5 to 6 years, you go to an away game, right? And you see these video boards where they have these entrances. You guys have your own thing. What are your thoughts on kind of just from 6 years ago to now, just those video hype type videos? I wanted to get your honest opinion about
I hate him. Look, it's fun for the kids, so I get it. The first night I see ours, I'm like, okay, that's cool. By about week 5, when they're playing the same stuff, I'm like trying to not throw up before we take the field. And like I said, it's fun for them, those video, all that stuff. I mean, the thing that's changed for all kids over the year, the game hasn't changed. What surrounds them has changed. So social media has changed everything, and just what they watch on TV. They see that on TV. They want to dress like the players they see on TV. They want everything to be the same. So the hype videos that you enter to, okay, that's cool, but I don't know. I'm not a big fan. You know, the only entrance song that's legitimate is, what was it, Enter the Sandman by Metallica. Watch Virginia Tech's entrance. That's legit. You know, the rest of this, really? I mean, we're going to, so I don't know.
It's really cool, though. We'll end with it. And it is a reward when you get up there to the Dome, and whether you're coming in the Dome doors or the other side, that I do 21 games up there, and every time they play it and the game gets started, I could shoot 15 games in a row.
Sure.
As long as they play that music and I get out there. I get goosebumps still. It doesn't matter who it is.
Well, first of all, we are so lucky to have the Dome.
Yeah, you've really made this point. I think people miss it.
People take it for granted. And if you go to any other state and watch any of the finals in any class, they're all, not all, but most are in different locations. Most are being played in 15-degree weather and college stadiums where a crowd of 10,000 looks like nobody's there. We can go up to the Dome and it's got a basketball arena feel. Even a small crowd creates enthusiasm and atmosphere. And the fact that we have that in Iowa is unmatched. I don't know another state who gets to play in that type of situation. I just don't.
Yeah. Anything else? I think that's a wrap. We don't have a name for this yet. 25 years of Friday Night Blitz, Dome Dynasty. I have no idea. But thanks for coming. Thanks for coming in, my friend.
It's been good.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
All right, but there's going to be good games next week. Let's get your comments, Coach, about
Well, we found out that Sioux City East down early to Fort Dodge, comes back, wins a 22-20 game. Pretty good football team. They were up in those rankings. What do you think?
Well, they're a tough home team. It's real tough there at Robert Stadium in Sioux City, and they're a playoff team that returns a lot of people from last year. That'll be a great test for our young football team. It will be up to the challenge, and we're looking forward to it.
Their coach always says they got kids that can run faster than small town gossip up there. That's always his line.
Walt's a great comedian, but we're gonna get after him, and I think we'll have a good chance to win the game.
Coach, anything else you need to say tonight?
No, it was a good night for the Tigers, and we're gonna get better every week.
All right. Thanks a lot for joining us
You
again.
bet. My pleasure.
All right, John.
All right, thanks very much, Coach, and thanks, Dave. And here's how you can contact us at the Blitz if you'd like to give us some feedback. Send us an email, and you can also check the scores at woitv.com.